I wanted to do a quick video on gloves. I have been ordering different gloves for riding, and I just figured maybe I can save somebody some money at some point. But obviously there's your warm weather gloves, and these are like 13 bucks on Amazon or something like that. They're cheap. They breathe really, really well. They have a slider here, and it's hard plastic, and then this here. I had a set of these gloves on when I hit a deer at 75 miles an hour and slid across the pavement for, I think, 90-something feet. It ground the knuckles almost down to my knuckles, but they saved my knuckles. This thing mostly saved my hand. Now, my right glove ripped. It caught somewhere. It ripped this off, and I don't think you can see it. You can see a little bit of the scar, but there's just, it got me right here, and it got this finger. But I am absolutely convinced that those gloves saved me probably some surgeries, probably some major issues. So I'm glad I had these on. This is a newer pair. The other pair I've got's pretty worn out now. But this is my summer glove. These so far have been the best gloves I've found in the summer. So I'm pretty well settled on these. I like them. You can soak this down with water in the summer, and it acts as like an AC almost. It cools your hands down quite a bit. So in the summer, a lot of times I'll take a bottle of water, and I'll use that to soak myself down, soak my gloves down, and it kind of helps with the heat. So that one's simple. These are the best ones that I've found so far. So there's those. Cheap. Well worth it. I can buy 5 or 6 pair. I'd say I get about a year out of each glove before they start getting kind of ratty. I've still got the other gloves I've used for a year, but those kind of became my loaners for friends. So there's my summer glove. And then you have winter gloves. I've got another set of gloves that I actually gave my son, and I don't know what he did with them. But they were winter gloves that were insulated. I think they were this brand, actually. They were like 35 bucks, and they worked pretty well. But I ride all through the year, in the summer, in the winter. 15, 20 degrees, I'll be out riding. So what I've been looking for is heated gloves. So you've got, these are heated. Both of these use a 7.4 volt battery. This uses a 12 volt battery, or actually 12 volts that comes in through this plug right here. So, actually, let me grab. What you have to do is you have to have something like this. It's a little heat troller, and your jacket plugs into one of these. That plugs into the gloves, and you control the heat with this. I like the idea of it, but I have yet to find a good way for this to work well. I really don't like using this because, I haven't found a good place to put this on the bike. And then what ends up happening is it sort of sits in my lap. I plug it in. I do have a plug coming out of the bike that I can plug that into. And yeah, it works. It's awkward. You've got to hook this up, so then your gloves are sort of dangling if you take them off. And to be completely honest with you, these are warm and safe is what these are. And I got these used from a guy on Facebook with a jacket with one of those heat trollers for 150 bucks. So decent enough gloves, but a couple of things. These are leather, and I've heard leather does real well in a slide, but it doesn't have this, and it doesn't have this. It's just a simple leather glove. It does have a little bit thicker leather here, I guess, to kind of help, but I don't really feel like these will protect you as well as either of these, because you can see these both have that knuckle guard. These also have the other guard here and here. Now, I would prefer this style. This is slick, so if you hit something, see that slides, it doesn't grab. But if you hit something with that, it kind of grabs a little bit, and I'm not sure if that's actually going to work well. I would rather it be a hard plastic than what's there. So both of these, I'm not really, super happy with that, but they both have the knuckle guards, which I'm a big fan of. I don't even use these gloves anymore. I loan them to a buddy when he rides with me if he wants to use them and it's cold. I've been using these. I've had these longer. These were like $86. These were $200. So the sad part is I use these more than I use these. Paid more than double for these. But couple of problems with them. These are actually warmer without the battery on. The reason I bought these two particular ones is this one has a 7.4 volt battery, goes in here, and I actually really like, it's a zipper. So it's real easy to open and close it, get right to the battery, change it out. And it came with a little thing that plugs into a USB port, so you can actually not charge the gloves, but actually it's got a little Y cable. It'll go to each one of them. So it's a different way that, say your battery dies, you can plug into the bike itself. So I like that. The downside of these is when I put these on, you've got on the fingers, my fingers all come pretty much to the end of the glove, and it works pretty well. My thumbs come to about here. You've got all this material, and I can't tell you how many times I have accidentally hit the horn and a bunch of stuff with the extra glove that sticks out. So that's a downside to these gloves. The other downside is these have a liner inside of them. When you put your hand in there, well, a lot of times, especially if you've got the heat on, your hands will get a little sweaty, or even if you don't have the heat on, the liner tends to stick. Now, it's comfortable, but when you pull your hand out, the liner wants to come with your hand. And then what you end up having to do, so I've learned to sort of, ease my hand out of these, and it works okay, but basically what ends up happening is when you pull your hand out, when you put your hand back in, you got to sort of push that liner back into the fingers. It'll tend to bunch up, and it's really annoying, and it's kind of a hassle to put these on and take them off. Where these do not have that problem. I can put my hand in these, the liner stays in place. They've got this strap, which I'm probably going to end up cutting off. I can't get my hand in there with this strap on at all. They need to make this bigger for you to be able to get your hand in there, or just honestly, I don't even see the need for it. These have it as well, but I don't really see the purpose there. These do seem beefier, so you've got good leather, thick leather stitched in multiple places. They are thicker gloves than these are, but these actually insulate better than these do. Now, when it comes to the heat aspect of them, your battery goes in right here, and it's Velcro. Well, I hate Velcro. I like the zipper on those. So, it's annoying. I wish this was a zipper, but they're good gloves overall. Big downside to both of these versus this one and this one. If you look on the fingertips, you have whatever that cloth is, so I can use a touchscreen device. I can use my phone. I can use my little Android Auto thing that I've got. Neither of these gloves have that. for $200 gloves, you would think they would at least give you one finger that can operate a touchscreen. See, this one's got finger and thumb. I'm going to try to overcome that with, I think you can buy this stuff and put it on it. So I'm going to try that on these gloves, but in all reality, what I've ended up doing is I've used the $86 pair of gloves more by far, and the batteries are the same. I can use the batteries from these gloves in here, and what I've ended up doing with these, you can plug into your bike, and it will power the gloves as long as you got power on your bike. So that's really nice when you're on a long trip. But what I've found is unless it's super, super cold to the point that I really don't want to be riding anyway, generally speaking, I can run these on low or medium, and it makes a big difference. They heat well. They do a great job with the battery, and I've just started stealing the battery from these. And if I go so far that these lose battery, I'll just swap in a new battery. And you can buy the batteries for these pretty cheap. It's really not that expensive to buy the batteries for these gloves. So to me, having an extra few sets of batteries for these makes sense. Now, one of the reasons that I bought this glove in particular is it is a battery powered glove, and you can plug it in 12 volts. So I bought the wrong size to begin with. But here's what it comes with. I'm going to return this one. Move this over. So here's the 2XL large gloves, and they're just too big. But these come with a little sack that I don't give a crap about. It comes with this that hooks into your what do you call it, your bike on the battery, and it will run 12 volts directly to it. It comes with the batteries themselves. Shoot. There we go. And now that was weird. That was actually out like that when I got this thing. So I think somebody's returned this one. It comes with a charger that plugs into each one of these batteries. Now these batteries, it charges through this port right here. So you charge them right here. The ones that come with these gloves have a USB-C port right here, so you can charge them either way. The charger for these gloves work for these through that, and these gloves can also just be plugged in USB-C. So I like having that option. But you get a lot with this glove that seems to make a lot of sense. I don't know how this went back in there. So these also have an Android app that you can use to control them. They're Bluetooth. So the fact that this will work with 7.4 and 12 volts is pretty nice. Now the downside to that is when you use the battery, they don't get as warm. But when you use the 12 volts, they get really warm. So if you're going to use these, you know, to me, these work better than these do for what I want to use them for. And it gives me the option of a battery. So with this, I have to use that heat controller every time. I have to have a liner of some kind that will plug into these. With this, I can use the battery or I can use the harness. I can choose whichever one. So if I'm 90% of my rides, I'm, you know, an hour, 2, maybe 3, I can use these with the battery, or I can use these with the battery, and they work great. If I'm going 4, 5, 6 hours, as long as I have enough batteries, I can just keep changing the batteries out for this glove, or I can switch over to the 12 volt for these gloves. So if I know I was going on a long trip, that's probably where I'm going to start using these gloves more. I'm not sure why that's there, but that could kind of, I don't know, be handy, I guess. I guess you could put like one of those warmer things in there, maybe. I don't know why that But either way, I also keep those little chemical hand warmers. My mom gave me boxes of them one time, so I keep those as a spare as well. But these two gloves seem to be my favorites. These are actually more comfortable to wear, but I can't use my phone. So I know you're not supposed to use your phone while riding, and I really don't. But a lot of times, like if I'm using my GPS or if somebody calls me or whatever, it would be nice to have at least the index finger where I can answer a call, end a call, change tracks that I'm listening to in music, or whatever. So to me, that's a big downfall of these gloves. They need to give these gloves those. If they had that, this would be dang near perfect. But as of right now, these gloves I use far more. These are Iron Jayas, I guess. I don't know how you pronounce that. Another downside to these is when you use this, they turn off and you can't really see the setting. I guess it saves power. These, it's red, green, blue, and they stay at that. So I can look down and go, okay, I'm at the highest setting. I'm at red, I'm at medium, I'm at green, or I'm at the lowest and they're blue, and they stay there as long as the battery is on. Or if I look down and it's like, man, my hands are getting cold, I can look down and go, oh, my battery died. I need to pull over and change my battery. Where this will just be that right here. Again, I can use my phone to adjust these, but that seems to be more gimmick than useful. One of the things that I also try to do is your winter gloves. These are all waterproof. I don't know about these. I don't know if those are waterproof. I kind of doubt it, to be honest. But these, you have this big gauntlet, and I like that. I put that over my jacket, and if it rains, it's shedding away. So, but anyway, I just wanted to give you guys an idea of some of the gloves that I bought. To be honest, I was looking at Gerbing gloves as well, but again, they are sort of like these, and it was like, man, for what I could buy these for, these are battery and 12 volts, and they have a lot of the features that I like the knuckle thing that the Warman Safe and some of the Gerbings didn't have. So this seems to be the most feature-rich glove, but this one, they do have... Let's see, where's it at? Yeah. They've got Thinsulate in them, and that seems to really help with the temperature. So the next set of gloves I'm going to get, I found some, they're MSR gloves, like the MSR Explorer jacket and pants. But where this is a mesh, a lot of times I would like to have a glove between this and these. So this can be cold, but not warm enough on a colder day, where this is too hot and this is too hot. So it's like I can put my hands in these and not turn the battery on. My hands are sweating if it's 60 degrees. But at 60 degrees, these are a little bit too cold. So I found some other gloves I'm going to buy, but they're MSR wind. Basically what they do is they don't let the wind penetrate the glove. So this lets the wind penetrate the glove, but they're more of a summer type glove. So they're this, but they're not mesh. So to me, that gives me kind of the go-between. They don't have insulation. They're thin. I prefer these gloves. There's so much, you've got more dexterity in them. They just work. They're great gloves, but if it's cold, they suck. So if I can kind of get a go-between where when it's a little bit more chilly, I can switch out of this to the ones that block air, and it's not insulated. So that's the next set of gloves I'm going to buy. They're like $80, I think. So eventually I'll get some of those to kind of be the go-between between my real winter gloves and these. So anyway, I hope that helps somebody. If you have any questions or whatever, let me know. Have a good day.